Welcome to the second video for the DP-900 practice exam questions. 20 questions to practice for the Microsoft Certified Azure Data Fundamentals certification. Starting with question 1. Which of the following is an example of structured data? JSON files, images, a database table, or emails? The answer to this: a database table. Question 2. What do relational databases use to uniquely identify each record in a table? An index, a key, a join, or a relation? To uniquely identify each record in a table, we use a key. Question 3. Which Azure storage service is best suited for storing unstructured data such as documents, videos, and images? Azure File Storage, Azure Table Storage, Azure Blob Storage, or Azure Queue Storage. So for storing unstructured data, such as videos and images, we always use blob storage. Which of the following is not a common element of large-scale analytics? Distributed processing, real-time streaming, file fragmentation, or data visualization? Which is not an element of large-scale analytics? Well, we probably want to do data visualization. We probably want to do real-time streaming. We probably want to do distributed processing. But for large-scale analytics, we do not want to do file fragmentation. Question 5. What is a common way to represent semi-structured data? Spreadsheets, Word documents, audio files, or XML files? The answer is semi-structured data can be represented as XML files. What term is used to describe a situation where a piece of data in a database needs to be updated in multiple places? Redundancy, normalization, integrity, or referential? Updating data in a database in multiple places, that is called data redundancy. If you want to lift and shift your on-premises file shares to the cloud, which Azure storage service would you choose? Blob storage, file storage, table storage, or disk storage? To lift and shift an on-premise file share to the cloud, there's only one of these that deals with file shares, moving them to the cloud. Blob storage is for storing data, unstructured data in databases. Table storage is for key value pairs. Disk storage is not really a thing, but file storage, Azure Files, is the answer. During data ingestion, which of the following becomes critical due to the sheer volume of data? Data integrity, visualization, reduction, or playback? The answer is integrity. Which of the following best describes unstructured data? It has a strict schema. It always uses hierarchies or tags. It lacks a specific form or model, or it's typically stored in relational databases. The answer is it lacks a specific form or model. Why is normalization used in relational databases? To increase storage space, to decrease performance, to reduce data redundancy, or to make queries more complicated? Well, some of these answers are silly. Normalization in a relation database is used. The answer is to reduce data redundancy. Question 11. Which of the following storage services is best suited for storing NoSQL data in a key attribute format? Azure File Storage, Azure Disk Storage, Azure Blob Storage, or Azure Table Storage? So storing NoSQL data in a key attribute file means key value storage. And key value storage, the answer is Azure Table Storage. Question 12. For storing massive data sets for analytical purposes, which storage option is often preferred? Relational databases, data lakes, personal databases, or file storage systems? Storing massive data sets for analytical purposes, the answer is data lakes. Which data type would a company's internal memos and communications typically fall under? Structured, semi-structured, unstructured, or relational? A company's internal memos and communications sounds like audio files and raw documents. Those are the answer: unstructured data. Question 14. Which SQL statement is used to retrieve data from a database? Insert, update, get, or select? The answer is select. Which Azure storage service provides a REST interface for accessing data? Azure Blob Storage, Azure Disk Storage, Azure Table Storage, or all of the above? Well, Azure Storage Service provides a REST interface for all of the above. Question 16. Which Azure service is primarily focused on ETL, extract, transform, load, operations, and hybrid data integration? Azure Synapse Analytics, Azure HD Insight, Azure Databricks, or Azure Data Factory? So for ETL, or extract, transform, load, the Azure service for this would be, well, Databricks isn't even an Azure service. It's actually an open source platform used for Spark. HD Insight is a storage system. Synapse Analytics is for real-time data. So the answer to this for ETL is Azure Data Factory. Question 17. Which of the following is a feature unique to structured data? It can be easily queried. It can be in the form of audio files. It does not have a defined schema, or it is mostly textual. For structured data, well, structured data is not audio files. Structured data does have a defined schema. Structured data is not necessarily mostly textual, but structured data can absolutely be easily queried. Question 18. Which database object contains a set of SQL commands that you can save and reuse? A trigger, a store procedure, a view, or schema? The answer is a stored procedure. Which replication option in Azure Blob Storage provides the highest storability by replicating data to a second region? LRS, locally redundant storage, GZRS, geozone redundant storage, ZRS, zone redundant storage, or premium storage? Well, premium storage is for Azure Files, not Azure Blob Storage. The answer is GeoZone redundant storage. And the last question, number 20. Which Azure service provides an analytics service with capabilities spanning big data and data warehousing? Azure Data Lake Storage, Azure Synapse Analytics, Azure Cognitive Services, or Azure Blob Storage? The key to this question is analytics services for big data and data warehousing. Well, big data and data warehousing makes you think of a data warehouse, not a data lake. Azure Cognitive Services is for machine learning. Azure Blob Storage is for unstructured data or binary files, but analytics services are provided by Azure Synapse Analytics. So, how do we do? Did you get these questions right? I hope you did, and I hope that you passed the exam. And I also hope that you've enjoyed this presentation of 20 questions for the DP-900 Microsoft Certified Azure Data Fundamentals certification exam. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe and let me know in the comments, and I will publish the next 20 questions.